All right, Henry McClure Live. Look who I ran into today. Milk and Honey. You know, you brought up something today over coffee that I really haven't harped on, that we should harp on. You know what that is?
Well,
come on.
We covered a lot of bases there. Whoop. The non-elected taxing authority.
Non-elected taxing authority.
We have two of them here, and some pseudo type government authorities also that take your money without any input from the.
We ought to look at who's on those.
Yeah, I know some people that are on.
Is it the boards that we need to be worried about more, or the personnel?
I think it's neither. I think it's the whole construct of.
Well, who
of their
runs
existence?
Who runs the MTAA?
Well, you know,
it's the board.
Yeah. Well, here's something to look into. Maybe we shouldn't look into a recent lawsuit that was. I think the judgment was just recently awarded to the petitioner for millions. I think he was asking for like $40 million because they were forging documents down there at
Where?
MTAA.
Oh, wait a minute. That's the
Bob Zabel.
Bob Zabel case. Bob Zabel case.
You want to know mishandling of funds and shady dealings?
Did he win that $40 million?
I believe.
Man, I've got.
Take a look. Let's just say.
Man, I forgot about that. I have some of the paperwork on that lawsuit in my office.
Dig into that.
Oh man, so there was a settlement?
Don't quote me, but I'm
calling
it
Bob.
It is my understanding that something went down to where they came to some sort of
What they
agreement.
did was they mysteriously lost a lease.
Yeah, and then they forged some documents. They did some shady stuff, and
this stuff is going right on under our nose.
Yeah, and I'm not going to get into the particulars of it, and because all of this stuff I'm saying
it's public record.
Well, I would invite people to look into it. Like I say, many other things. I hear these things, so when I hear them, it's not my obligation. That's me. It's not my obligation to prove them. I'm bringing light to them. Do your own homework. Should be public record.
I forgot about that.
There might be a non-disclosure type of thing in the settlement where they can't talk about it, but they screwed that man over big time, jerked him around, and it's going to cost.
But there's a conspiracy.
It's going to cost the taxpayers because of the shenanigans that were going on down there. That's why they need to be absorbed into the city, along with the library needs to be absorbed into the city, so that they're not running amok without any representation from the citizens.
Now, when you say brought into the city, don't you want
under representative governance?
Okay.
Whether it be county, city, they merge the parks, so all that stuff.
But they
have an elected official.
But they could also just be an elected board and still stay independent.
Yes, they could.
Because I don't want the city to have any more authority, or the county to have any more authority.
Well, I do when you can prove, like the library being almost 4 times the budget as our neighbors to the east, Lawrence.
But tell me one thing that the city government's doing good now.
Well,
and why would you want to give them any more burden?
It's not.
They'll hire a consultant.
It's not so much a burden; it's having somebody that's accountable.
Well, yeah, but they don't. But they won't even answer core requests.
That's.
Man, do you guys really see how broken this government is?
That's why you need people in there who have the allegiance to the citizenry and not themselves.
Yeah.
And unless you vote people like Henry in, or people who aren't self-serving, you're going to have this issue. When I say self-serving, that means your cousin's benefiting from this, or your uncle,
like last
or your
night,
sister. You know,
last night they voted to keep the bags on Jackson Street between between
meters?
Kansas. Yeah. And thank you, because I've got office space down there. I got a lease.
Yeah.
But they were also big contributors to
Yeah.
somebody. You know
See,
what I mean?
the pay to play, we're broken, man. Look at the
Pay to play, baby.
all of this extra money needs to go into these roads.
What's
and
extra money?
Yeah, well,
There's no such thing as extra money.
yeah, well, when you have Go Topeka pulling
What we
in,
need to
spending,
do-
what is it, 11 million or so dollars of sales tax revenue.
What we need to
but
do is-
taking 1.7 or 1.8 million dollars for their own salaries and benefits. That can go a long way on these.
We
roads.
need to take the sales tax money and earmark it for roads, and don't put it in the hands of the NGOs or
Yeah.
the council.
Yeah, and guess what?
Or
All the do-gooders out there, and I do my fair share of charity. If you want to donate, nobody's preventing you from donating directly. I would encourage you not to use, let alone any middleman or entity to dole out your charity, but especially when it's a government taking your money and then deciding without your input who you're going to disperse the money to.
You give the money to, you get taxed, then the government gives it to an NGO, and the NGO gives it to people to make sure that the government people stay in power.
Yeah,
That's it. Bottom line.
Give directly. And the panhandling thing that Duncan brought up, that how difficult of an issue. Here's the answer to that. If you know your child is a heroin addict or a meth addict, are you going to give them money?
No.
So why would you do that out here with a stranger?
Well, think about it too. The panhandler who then uses it to buy booze or cigarettes or just a sandwich, that goes into sales tax. The
Well-
panhandler is actually paying the sales tax to make the ultra wealthy,
Yeah.
going into the AT&T building.
Yeah.
Do you think about that?
You want to focus on helping the homeless? Put your efforts towards the Hope Center. I hear a lot, and the rescue mission's there, and it needs to be there, but we don't want to perpetuate. They hired a consultant, again, for the homeless. It looks like, what was his answer? To bring more homeless in? Because there seems to be more homeless now than before the consultant was hired. So give directly to the Hope Center. Those are women with children, and even men I've seen in there with children. They're down and out. They're wanting to get out. When you give money to somebody begging on the side of the road, you're perpetuating their misery and their horrible living. Go over there across the street from Harbor Freight. They've got, by the railroad tracks, which we're putting up with this again, they've got a homeless camp in there. It looks like platted lots when you look down there. You can't even get through the sidewalk sometimes because there's a half a dozen shopping carts, stolen by the way, packed full of stuff that they pull out of the neighborhoods that they walk through. I know this because I've worked with these people directly for years. Nobody can tell me any more about the homeless than what I already know. And over here, a little girl was murdered. 5-year-old girl was murdered right across the street over here. And this summer, I saw they still had the homeless camp over there. Still had what a slap in the face they didn't clear that out. Now the grass is this tall over there. I don't know who owns that, but when this city didn't shut that down and still allow that, what does that do for the memory of that little girl who was raped and murdered right over the hill here on the other side of Dillon? Go look at that little island of trees in there and peek in there. You'll see a camp.
Hey,
now my friends at the city, I took them, I let them know, made them aware of it, and it supposedly went up the chain of command. Hopefully it's cleared out now, but it's so dense in there, so overgrown with vegetation that you would give a citation to anybody else. I'm not even going to walk back there to see if anybody's living back there. Sorry, I'm going off on a rant.
No, it's great.
But when you have a city councilman scratching his head telling us how difficult the homeless crisis is, when you actively are perpetuating it by your inaction, you're flushing this town down the toilet because you fail to make simple decisions, and that your consultant even recommended. I guess I don't see any tangible results in the thousands of dollars you spent hiring that guy, who I know personally, by the way.
The consultant?
The consultant.
What did he rake in?
I don't even know. Thousands and thousands of dollars, maybe even tens of thousands. It's all on record. Ask Mr. Duncan, because it fell flat. It almost like there was a declaration to bring more. And I know about this. I've run teenagers who hop the trains from Oregon. Why are you here? Everybody knows about Topeka. These are people from the West Coast telling me this. Kids, why in the world are you in Topeka and dialing 911? You know, the 911 service, your local EMS is their primary care physician. You know that. They call for headaches, pimples on the forehead, spider bites, enlarged prostates. I know this because I've run these calls myself. The reports exist. So don't tell me that you don't have an answer, Mr. Duncan. I welcomed you to invite me on your podcast to discuss this, but I know you won't.
The Civic Circus.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. I challenge you to bring me aboard, because you're not going to find anybody that doesn't know more about the homeless situation than I do.
Well, there's a challenge right there. Civic Circus.
And let's dig into what your consultant recommended and how much of it you implemented.
Hey, the day you announced to run for office, let's do it on the Henry McClure Live show. Henry McClure Live.
All right.
You got anything else you want to vent?
You don't have enough hours in the day.
All right. Well, we'll get you on my podcast.